Well, today we're going to take that bread cane I showed you last week, and we are going to make some slices of toast, and we're even going to put some jam or jelly on a couple of them. Stay tuned and see how fun and easy this is to do. Alright, so we are going to make some slices of toast. We're going to start out, we're using our cane that we made last week. I will put the link to this video, to the video for this in the description box and also in the blog post. And I decided to lay it on a piece of white paper just while I'm cutting it. Don't leave it on the paper long term because that will suck out a lot of the oils and things in your clay. But this will keep my tray clean because I cleaned this off with a wet wipe. So I'm going to cut, let's make 3 slices of toast. 1, 2, and 3. There we go. I'm going to put this out of my way so it's not sitting here where I'm trying to work. And we're going to texture this pretty much like we did last week for the slice of bread. I'm going to start with this wire brush. So again, this is from Harbor Freight. And by the way, when you poke your finger with it, it does hurt, just so you know. And you really want quite a bit of texture when you're making toast. And I'm just working right on my coarse sandpaper. And this is a very coarse sandpaper. I'm not sure what. Not exactly sure what the number is on it, but it's pretty coarse. So, and because we already had the cornmeal in our bread cane, it started out already with some texture. I'm going to use a toothbrush and slice. I did not slice my bread evenly, kind of like when I do it for real. I never get the bread sliced right. It always ends up being sliced crooked. This one done. We need to get both sides of all the pieces done. Then we're going to cut our toast and put some inside texture in. We'll do that a little differently. If I can get this I'm trying to hurry here so you guys don't have to watch me do this like all day. Okay. Kind of use my brush to just kind of push it down into the sandpaper. And we actually want to color the top of this before we cut it. So, the same chalks we had before, where's my brush? And there's my chalk. I'm going to start out with our yellow ochre. And you may be happy with just the yellow ochre, depending on how dark you like your toast toasted. This is the same exact chalk I had out that I did the outside of the bread with. You want to get this done into the texture, but you don't want to push so hard that you lose the texture that you just worked hard to get. Now we're going to turn these over. And you can tell you've pushed down because it will kind of adhere to the sandpaper. And I would recommend, if you chalk on top of the sandpaper like I am now, make a note on the back of the sandpaper that you've used chalk, so you don't pull this out to try and texture something where you don't want chalk. I think I've got enough of the yellow ochre here. Now it's getting a little bit of a reddish brown color. Kind of. Now, this one. This is kind of a rusty color. It's all in that same brown color family that I use a lot when I'm working with that. I'm going to get a wet wipe and wipe that chalk off my fingers. Move some yellow ochre in there, soften that color. That's a little darker than I want it, so let's get more yellow ochre in there. Lighten that up a bit. You can tell this is a chalk I use a lot. When you get too much of a color in, just lighten it back up with the lighter color you used earlier. That's a little better. I think this is our bottom side now. A little more of that. Remember, toast doesn't always toast evenly, so it's okay if you don't get the color even. In fact, it very seldom does. And build your color up slowly. Don't take big jumps. The reason I got that too dark on the other side on that first one was I tried to go in too fast and get this done quickly for you. Just a little more of a different brown, just a tiny bit though. Yes, I wipe my fingers off with the wet wipe every time I pick up that chalk. That's a little better. Alright, that's probably good. So now we need to cut our slices of toast in half. And if you're gonna just have it whole, you could leave it. But we are going to, come on, let go. Cut our toast. And you could cut it straight across. I always cut my toast in real life on the diagonal, so I do that with the doll toast too. Now, I should have found my tool. We need a pointy tool. I'm using a dental pick. Anything like that will work. Put your piece of toast on an emery board to support it. Hold it between your fingers like I'm doing. The edge just barely. And I'm supporting with this and with my thumb. And I'm just making little tiny circles and kind of tapping. It's the same way we texture a cake. Too much clay buildup on the tip of your tool, go ahead and pull it off. And if you're afraid you're going to put thumbprints on or ruin your texture, you could actually put a second emery board on the top. I do that sometimes too. That way I know I'm not hurting my texture that I've worked so hard to get. But I do this texture a lot. I've showed it to you before on other things. Right there. So I'll do one more on camera and then I will texture the rest of them off camera so you don't have to watch me do this like all day. Take your time. Don't rush yourself. Just take your time and just kind of stir that up. And I'm making little tiny circles with the tip of the dental pick, barely pushing it into the clay. And I'm not pushing hard, I'm just holding this tight enough just to hold it. I'm not trying to push in because I don't want to dent my clay. There, that's all there is to it. So I'll do the other 4 pieces, and when I come back, put something on top. I'm going to go bake this. I'll bake it at 250. I like to bake slightly under the temperature called for on the package of clay. Bake these at 250 for about 10 minutes, and when they're done and cooled, I'll be back and we'll go to the next step. Alright, so our toast is now baked, but what's toast without something on it? We are going to put some jelly or jam onto some of these slices of toast, not all of them. Let's see, I wonder if I can tell which pieces. No, this is the thicker one. So those two go together. Kind of keep them in pairs. And these two go together. So we'll leave one without any jam or jelly on it. I retrieved a couple of our jam jars from our video a couple of weeks ago. I got the strawberry and the grape. It's the first 2 I came to. Now we can't use nail polish on our clay. That would ruin our baked clay. But we can mix up a jelly or jam mixture that matches this so it'll look like it goes together. For the base of our jelly / jam, I'm using Kato liquid polyclay. The only place I know of to get this is Hobby Lobby or online. The nearest Hobby Lobby is a couple of hours away from me, and I did purchase this a couple of years ago when I was there. So we are going to first mix up our colors. So let's start with the red. And I'm guessing that my rose madder is going to be my right color. To tint this, I'm using oil paint. Don't use acrylic paint. Even though I know a lot of people on YouTube do use acrylic paint, you shouldn't, okay? It's not a good thing to mix with polymer clay, with the liquid polymer clay, because there's water in it. Acrylic paint has some water. It's a water-based paint. That water can react when you bake it with the liquid clay. It can bubble and make it look really, really bad. Oil paint is what most of the manufacturers of liquid clay recommend, so that's what I use. So I'm going to put out just a little bit. I'm not going to make a whole lot. This is going to be kind of a thin coat. If you've watched my videos for a while, you've seen me do this before. We did the same process when we made the gummy bears. Now we could put some clay into this too if we wanted to, but I'm not going to today. I'm going to take this, and it looks like it will probably look really good. Let's spread some of this out. It may not be an exact match for our jam jar, but it'll be close enough, I think, that it will kind of get the idea across. Alright, we can even let some drip down. I'll put this off to the side. Let's have a few more drips here. There. Now we're going to mix up a purple. I don't have a purple oil paint, but I've got the red. And I've got a couple of blues. This blue I think will give us the best color. So I want to color it first and then mix in. So let's get a little more red. Out. I'm not a painter, so I don't have, you know, really expensive oil paints. These are just really inexpensive oil paints from the craft store. I have a basic set that I bought, and then I purchased the Rose Madder because I needed a red that would not turn kind of an orangey color on me. That looks like a good color. Let's see how this looks. That's going to be a good purple. Oh yeah. That looks pretty close. And this is one of the few times you will see me bake on a ceramic tile. And my son is talking on Skype all of a sudden, even though I told him I was going to be recording. Now I'm going to bake bright on this tile, and that serves two purposes. If this drips, if this would drip down on a paper plate, it would stick and be really hard to get off. Also, it will bake off that stuff. Let's get the plain oil paint kind of wiped off. But it won't hurt the oil paint to bake on here. But it will allow me then to just peel that up once it's cured and be able to clean my tray up. So I am going to go bake this at about 250 degrees for about another 10 minutes, and when it's baked and cooled, I'll come back and I'll show you how this all looks. Alright, so here is our toast all baked and cooled off. I did have to raise my temperature up to 275 like it said on the bottle, and it actually took about 20 minutes to get baked all the way, and I actually stuck my finger in one of these so I made a mark. But I love how this looks. They look so cute. And this will be super simple to clean up. All I have to do is just scrape it off, and my tile is clean and ready to go for the next thing I want to do. So that was our project today. Be sure and check the blog post. There'll be a link to the bread cane there, and that'll be in the description too. And better photos of the toast for you to look at than I can put in the video. But I am super excited how this came out, and I hope you are too. If you haven't found the Facebook, join me over there. The link is always in the description box below the video, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.